Hello and welcome to Digital Farm TV Rural News. I'm Andy Walker, and just in case you're wondering about the additional growth under my nose, so are a lot of other people. It is for a very good cause. A Chinese property development company with no previous involvement in food production has won control of one of Australia's largest irrigated agricultural land tracts, according to Australian Food News. The company, Shanghai Zhongfu, has said it was looking to grow sugar across the 15,200 hectares of irrigated land offered for lease by the Western Australian Government as part of the famous Ord River scheme. The waters of the Ord River were first dammed in the 1970s to trap the heavy monsoon rains for year-round irrigation. In recent years, experimental cotton crops using modern biotechnologies had been successfully leading to a speculation that cotton could be revived to supply nearby Indonesian cotton mills. Shanghai Zhongfu has no experience in cotton farming. It won the bid for the land against Australian competitors, including Australian Agricultural Company Limited. In great news this week, genome sequencing of the wheat disease, tan or yellow spot pathogen, is expected to help researchers boost the productivity of the Australian wheat industry by tens of millions of dollars in coming years. The genome sequence was published recently by United States and Australian researchers. According to scientists, it will accelerate the release of more resistant Australian cultivars and improve resistance ratings for existing varieties. Researcher Richard Oliver said tan spot was estimated to have caused national annual losses of more than $200 million. Studies carried out in 2009 and 2010 suggested that wherever the disease was present, it caused yield losses of 0.3 to 0.6 tonnes per hectare. So $200 million might well be an underestimate, Professor Oliver said. Australian consolidator and processor GrainCorp Limited has rejected a takeover bid by US company Archer Daniel Midlands on the grounds the offer substantially undervalued the company. In late October, GrainCorp announced it had received an indicative non-bidding proposal from ADM to acquire the outstanding shares in GrainCorp at a price of $11.75 per share in cash. GrainCorp said it was confident in its outlook and strategy to continue to deliver shareholder value, underpinned by its integrated business model across the grain supply chain, unique portfolio of grain storage and logistics assets, including the largest infrastructure network of grain storage sites, and 7 of the 8 bulk ports in eastern Australia. Strategic global portfolio of grain processing assets, producing around 35% of Australia's malt as the world's 4th largest commercial malt producer, around 40% of Australia's canola oil and refined edible oil, and around 35% of Australia's flour as Australia's leading flour miller. Initial trade deals and significant Chinese interest in understanding Australian wheat grades for manufacturing food have resulted from research funded by the Grains Research and Development Corporation. The project, led by Grain Growers Limited, aims to optimise the use of Australian wheat in the production of premium Chinese noodles and other food products. Studies conducted under the project found that in all cases, the higher the proportion of Australian wheat blended with Chinese wheat, the better the quality of Chinese noodles and bread, Grain Growers Technical Services General Manager Dr. Keng Quayle said. He said a Chinese flour mill involved in the project had started importing small quantities of Australian wheat under China's quota system. The system allows direct imports of up to 1 million tonnes of wheat annually. The general manager of the mill, which specialises in noodle flour production, said that noodles made from Australian wheat were the best he tasted, Dr. Quayle said. China needs to replace millions of workers who have quit farms for cities. But even its vast state of power might not be able to transform the countryside into a network of big industrial farms capable of feeding its growing economy, according to Reuters news agency. Pulling together small plots of land to make larger operations and introducing modern mechanical techniques would help boost productivity, vital if China's agricultural sector was to meet soaring domestic food demand. But efforts to modernise the sector were struggling to gain traction because many producers were suspicious about giving up their land, and even for some mechanised farms, there were too few workers. Guaranteeing food security was a major tenet to the ruling Communist Party. The country was self-sufficient in rice and wheat, but was struggling to meet corn demand and had long given up trying to satisfy soy demand. It is the world's biggest soybean importer and a major buyer of corn. Well, that's it for Digital Farm TV Rural News this week. I'm Andy Walker, and I look forward to your company again next week.